I literally went from hiding my quote unquote drug use at CNN to openly telling people, hey, I'm microdosing. I'm using psilocybin
Mm,
in a
hmm
small amount before. And they're like, what? Like, what? Are you serious? What are you talking about, guy?
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Love, Loss, and Hallucinations. Before we get into this week's episode, we will be talking about some plant medicine. So I just want to do this little disclaimer thing, and that this content is for educational and harm reduction purposes only. We do not promote or support illegal activity, the sale or use of restricted substances, or the use of associated tools or accessories. This is not medical advice. We are not doctors, and you should consult a qualified professional for your health decisions. And before I introduce my guest today, I realized after we recorded this episode that we talk a lot about microdosing, but we don't actually say what it is. And so I'm dropping in from, I guess, sort of the future here to add that microdosing, at least when it comes to plant medicine and psychedelics, refers to the practice of taking very small subperceptual amounts of the psychedelic substance, usually like 5 to 10% of a normal dose. And the idea is that it will help improve mental health, creativity, emotional regulation, many other things. You'll hear some of those in the podcast. There's a lot more to it. We'll get into some of that, but just know that if you're trying microdosing and if things start to move and walls start to melt, you have taken too much, and do not go and operate any machinery or do anything in the real world is probably the best idea. With that said, my guest today is Cesar Marin, and Cesar spent 25 years of his professional career with CNN Espanol, as well as the last 15 years with CNN doing world sports coverage. He has since moved on, and this is quite a change in trajectory. That's the word.
Trajectory
Today,
and
there we go. And direction. And he is a plant medicine and microdosing advocate. He is the founder of the Cultivate Wisdom clothing line, as well as Cultivating. Oh, sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Cultivating Wisdom clothing line and microdosing over50.com. Welcome to the show, Cesar.
Scott, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor, a pleasure to be here with you, to have these conversations. I want to first of you applaud you for what you're doing. Having these conversations are incredibly important. Using our platforms to have honest, open, and objective conversations about these molecules is something that's really needed right now. So hats off to you for one, opening up this forum to have these conversations. Like I said, I'm excited to open up this wonderful dialogue that we're going to have about plant medicine. And yeah, again, thank you for having me. And you're right. I mean, my trajectory has been quite crazy.
Well, yeah, let's get into that a little bit to start. And thank you for saying that, by the way. I mean, that's, in addition to plant medicine and just in general, it's this, to me, what this podcast is all about is having deeper conversations with fellow human beings about, the struggles that it is to be alive and to be a human, and whether that's man or woman or what have you. So, thank you for being open to having the conversation. And starting with, I'm sure when you were at CNN and that whole thing, you're like, this is me. I am the CNN guy. I'm doing this forever. And then boom, a couple of years ago, you get laid off. Is that right?
That's exactly what happened, Scott. It was really crazy. Look, I spent 25 years at CNN as a producer. Plant medicine, psychedelics, alternative healing, that type of thing was very foreign for me. I grew up in an era where we're stigmatized. Psychedelics were bad. Psychedelics were for losers. Psychedelics were for crazy people. And like I've documented,
this is your brain on drugs.
Correct. This is your brain on drugs. Now, like I've commented many times, and I've documented myself. At the time, I did have a really bad relationship with cannabis. I had a toxic relationship with cannabis. So it wasn't like I didn't know what these, what molecules were, or what, altered states of consciousness or altered escapism was. So it wasn't that I wasn't familiar with it, but I didn't realize the realm of psychedelics, the potential of psychedelics, the tool that psychedelic could be. And it wasn't until close to the layoff. I mean, I hadn't had a psychedelic experience until the age of 55, and it was a recreational curiosity that started it, right? It was
Oh,
this, oh,
really?
wait a minute.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Well,
Yeah.
first, for a second, I just want to like reflect, like, so you were this successful, highly functioning CNN producer person who also had a toxic relationship with cannabis.
Correct. I was a functioning cannabis addict. I would
Wow.
get up, get high, go to work, get high. I literally, and I've talked about this before, I set off an alarm at CNN because I didn't have the warehouse to say, not right now. No, right now. Go in an edit bay and CNN, rip a vape and set off an alarm. So
Wow.
that's the type of relationship it was. I couldn't say no. It was controlling me. And I'm a big believer. Look, and that to say, I think the cannabis is a beautiful medicine when
Okay.
used with intentions, when used correctly. But like many other
That makes
things,
such a difference, right? The intention.
Cannabis can be addictive, like anything can be. The sugar is addictive, caffeine's addictive. Anything in life is addictive because it's the human that's the addiction, not the product or the substance. It's a human not being able to say not right now. So you're right. That's a relationship I had with cannabis, but I was functioning. I functioned. I went to work. I worked. Things were done. And it was, like I said, it was someone talking about psychedelics, about an experience they had at Martha's Vineyards on a 4th of July with their partner, and the children were there, and they just magic. And it was crazy, Scott, because of course me, that person who had been stigmatized about psychedelics, part of me was, you're crazy, that's drugs. I mean, are you serious? As I was ripping a vape or as I was hitting a bong, you know what I mean? Again, that type of stigma. A couple of weeks later, I'm on a bicycle ride with a whole bunch of people here in Atlanta, and I see a friend of mine, someone I trust, and he's got this smile from ear to ear. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, I just had some mushrooms, and I feel like I'm a kid riding a bike for the first time. And it was like, wait a minute, why are these mushrooms talking to me? Like, what is this thing? And it was this recreational curiosity. The cannabis isn't really doing it for me, because when you get to that point, you're not really getting, in other words, it becomes such a habitual thing that you're not really feeling much.
Yeah.
So it was this new high, maybe, you know what I mean? Whatever, maybe. And
so wait, your first mushroom experience, like real mushroom experience, is on a bicycle? I mean, that's
I had my own bicycle
I'm just saying, like, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
So, but here's the crazy part about it, Scott. Here's the really crazy part about it, because there's a back part to the story. So a couple of weeks later, I see the friend of mine on the bicycle, and I'm like, hey, so these mushrooms, these things, do you know where I can get them? And he looks down at this really beautiful, pristine bike, and he goes, these bikes don't pay for themselves. So just think about it. Not only do the mushrooms start to talk to me, they start to poke at my childhood curiosity. They bring me the person. They bring me the trusted source who is going to lead me. I don't have to go find some guy that knows some guy that has some guy. I don't have to go on the dark web. I don't have to. The mushrooms literally come to me, and they ride next to me. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. But here's the thing. So I get a chocolate bar, and I don't know about dosing. I don't know about intentions. So the first time I have a piece of the chocolate bar, and I go on this bike ride. It was a mundane bike ride that we would have. And I go on the bike ride, and I'm like, okay, I feel a smile, but where's the hallucinations? Where's like all the things? Where's all the trippiness? Like but it was.
So you had an unintentional microdose that day.
I had an unintentional microdose. I love that. You hit the nail on the head. And here's the crazy part, Scott. Knowing myself, I know that if it was any other substance, the next day it would be like, you know what? Let's go again. Let's see. Let's try. And there was something that said, no, wait a minute. Hold on. Just hold your horses. Just relax. And it wasn't until the next Monday on the same bike ride, and it was the Monday before Halloween 2022, that I have half of the chocolate bar. And I go on this bike ride, Scott, and all of a sudden, midway through the bike ride, I'm like,
more of a micro.
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's what my hands feel like? And it was like, that's what it feels like to breathe. And look how beautiful the trees are. And look at this guy. And I look around me at these other beautiful human beings. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by these magical creatures. And it was wonderful. And I had my own bicycle day experience a la Albert Hoffman. But here's the crazy thing. I get off the bike. I'm looking at my phone. My phone's all in 3 dimensions. Whoa, this is crazy. This is awesome. I get in the car and I start driving home, Scott. And as I'm driving home, and the lights are going off as fireworks, all I hear is, Cesar, what the F are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Is this who you are? You're chasing highs. You're 55
Mm.
years old. You're literally driving behind the wheel of a car hallucinating. You could kill yourself. You can kill someone else. And I was like, what the, like who's, because I know for a fact any other substance, it would have been like, we're okay. We're making home. We're gonna,
Yeah.
what we smoke. If it was cannabis, we'd be like, dude, just light another joint. It's fine, man, whatever. But something was like, wake the F up, bro. What's wrong with
Yeah.
you? And it was crazy, Scott, because as a good journalist, I mean, I've worked at CNN for 25 years. That's my profession. That's what I went to school for. Investigate, find out, tell stories. I dove in. What just happened? What was it that this thing did that literally, it's when the coin psychedelic was coined, Huxley said, to fathom hell or feel angelic, take a pinch of psychedelic. And that's exactly what happened to me. There was a
Yeah.
moment where I felt angelic, and there was a moment where I was in my own proper hell. What are you doing? So I went in. What just happened? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Psychedelics are being used as medicine?
So until that
Whoa.
point, until you went and researched, you were not aware that psychedelics. And so, what year was this?
22.
22.
the end
So
of
things
22.
are just starting to ramp up a little bit. Michael Pollan's book had been out a couple of years. So yeah.
I start to dive in at that time. Wonderland, which was a conference that was had in Miami, it's actually coming back this year in San Antonio and Austin. Wonderland happened. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. There's just Super Bowl of psychedelics. There's a place where people are going and they're coming not to get high. They were there to be informed and educate and talk about studies and like it was funny because I was, wait a minute, and then all of a sudden I came across this thing called microdosing, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this microdosing thing? And I start reading that people are using microdosing to overcome their dependencies, to gambling, to alcohol, to different things, and it was crazy because the heart, which is what we really should listen to, was like, Cesar, did you read that? That could help with this cannabis stuff.
Like,
and the
pay
brain,
attention, right?
and the brain was like, no, man, keep reading. Hit that bong. Go bring that bong. Finish off that weed that's there. Come on now. And it was like, no, hold on a second. And I was like, whoa, so you're telling me that maybe through microdosing, I can change my relationship with cannabis? And then maybe through microdosing, I can sort of change things. And here's the crazy thing, Scott. I literally went from hiding my quote unquote drug use at CNN to openly telling people, hey, I'm microdosing. I'm using psilocybin in a small amount before. And they're like, what? Like, what? Are you serious? What are you talking about, guy? Like, you're literally.
So you're still at CNN at this point?
I'm still at CNN.
Yeah.
At CNN. I'm still, yeah. So I'm still at CNN when the realization that I'm going to get laid off. I'm going to be part of these layoffs. And there's nobody hiring 55-year-old producers. Let's be honest. You're not a senior executive. You're not a vice president of programming and director.
So you saw it coming, this layoff. You're like, yes. If you're not watching, his eyes just got really big. Like,
the microdosing was like, yo, this is going to happen. What are you going to do? And as I started to share my story, right, as I started to tell people, hey, I'm microdosing, and I've done some research, and I take a small amount, and I'm more clear, and I have intentions, and I journal, and I have integration, and I also take cold showers because those help. But the microdosing has really helped me to focus. And they're like, dude, your shows are like on fire. Like, you're on fire. Like, this is the new you. Like, holy cow, this is awesome. And I said, hey, I want to wear a shirt. I want something that says psychedelics or says microdosing. And what did I find? Everything was very what? It was very trippy. It was very psychedelic, or it was very tie-dye.
Very deadhead.
And Scott, exactly. Let's be honest, Scott. If I start having a conversation with someone about microdosing, about psychedelics, with some tie-dye shirt on, what are most people going to say? Listen, hippie. Listen, stoner.
Yeah.
Why don't you go listen to your Grateful Dead 8-track tapes and come back from the woods when you're not high, and maybe we can have an adult conversation. So that's when I started cultivating wisdom, the apparel brand. That was the first thing. It was like, let's have conversations. Let me wear a shirt that says microdosing. So if someone says, oh, you microdose? I've heard about that. I've read about that. Can you cultivate me with some wisdom? That I wear a shirt like this that says psychedelics, very funky-ish. And someone comes up to me and says, psychedelics, like, are you like, they're doing studies about that, aren't they? I've heard that the president just signed an executive order, like for veterans with psychedelics. Is that true?
Yeah.
So it became this conversation piece. It became, hey,
Yeah,
you know what?
your intention with the clothing line is to start conversations, basically. I mean, obviously, it's also to sell and get some income, but it's for you, it's to start conversations among people who might be interested and spread the word, connecting that way.
Exactly. So one, you open up to the psychedelic curious. Oh, I've heard about it. I've read about that. Tell me, is it working for you? Oh, and it fortifies the community that's already there. Oh, you're microdosing? So am I. What are you microdosing? Oh, I microdose psilocybin. Really? I'm microdosing LSD. No, and how's that going? It's amazing. It's wonderful for concentration. And you have a reliable source to that molecule? Yes, I do. Oh, okay. Wonderful. Come here. Give me a hug. Collective awakening. That's what we do. That's how the apparel brand started. And then it was crazy, Scott, because
for a second, I just want to get back. So did the microdosing help you get off the cannabis habit, and
completely.
how long and what did that
right
look
away?
Like?
Right away, because the intention right away was change my relationship with cannabis. Give me the mental fortitude to be able to say, not right now. Tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. Next week, possibly. At a friend's house because we're celebrating something. That could be an intention. Because as long as I have an intention, there's a possibility. But if there's no intention, like there was before, and it was right from the start of the microdosing.
Wow. Now, some might say, who aren't familiar with it, or just, the casual who has never microdosed or done any plant medicine, would be like, oh, well, he's just replacing microdosing mushrooms or cannabis with microdosing mushrooms, What would you say to those folks?
So this is what I say to them, right? And again, as a recovering addict, right? As someone who had a bad relationship with that substance. For me, when there was cannabis around, as long as there was cannabis around, I was not happy until the cannabis was gone. I wasn't. I was using it to escape, right? And that's the other thing, intention. There's a difference, right? Me with mushrooms, there's always an intention. There's always a reason before I ingest, even if it's a microdose, and I'm doing it on a consistent basis because I'm on a protocol of 6 weeks. Even then, it's not a vitamin. It's not whatever. It's not a supplement. I'm intentionally ingesting something that is going to help me optimize my life. And it could be the worst day. It could be whatever. We missed a contract, but this, that, nothing. There's never, oh, you know what? Let me go do some mushrooms to see if I can. No, it's not. So it's not like I'm not changing one for the other. One is helping me. One was having me escape my reality. This one is helping me completely step into my reality. And that present. To me is the big difference. Correct. So it's not like I'm changing one for the other. One was escaping me. One is placing me right in my reality.
Yeah. And if anything, when you're microdosing, if your intention is along those lines of being present and like paying attention to what's going on within you, like it's not escaping, because stuff is going to come up that you're going to be like, oh, wow, where did that come from? And I just learned this about myself that I need to pay more attention to and try and work through or write through or journal through, as you were saying earlier. So once you got laid off and, you're microdosing at that point, I mean, do you feel like the microdosing actually helped you get through that? Was there anything you had to let go of and like kind of grieve after that 25 years at CNN?
I'm going to be dead honest with you. The day I knew the announcements were coming, I was already so far seeing my mission. There was another mission. It was clear. It became very clear that I had a purpose, that this was just growing, that people were curious, that I could have honest, open, and objective conversations, that I could be that guy that didn't look like he was just coming back from Burning Man, or didn't look like he just came back from a Grateful Dead concert, or doesn't look like some shaman who just came back with feathers because he had one ayahuasca experience. He looks like my dad. Like he's like so I knew right away. And it was, and for me, it was this sense of my cycle at CNN was done. The universe said, we're going to close that chapter and we're going to open up a new one. And where does that chapter lead you? We'll figure that out. We'll find that path. And it's been I'm going to be honest with you, Scott. It hasn't. It's been like life. It's been a roller coaster, right? There's been
I'm
moments of
sure.
like, okay, yeah, we're on the right path. Psychedelics are happening. This is going on. Oh, you know what? No, we're not sure. People, people are still reluctant. People are still, oh, you know what? The FDA didn't approve MDMA. And now there's less people. There's always this sense of we're on a roller coaster ride. But I'm a big
Mm,
believer that we're just at the beginning of the conversation, and that there needs to be this bridge between the psychedelic curious and the psychedelic wise, right? Without, because there's this seesaw about psychedelics, Scott. Let's be honest, right? There's the fear, and then there's the
yeah.
hype, and it's
Mm,
really neither one of them. It's how we stand in the middle and who people find who are standing in the middle that they can listen to. And that's what cultivating wisdom became. It's
yeah.
cultivating wisdom. We're cultivating wisdom about what psychedelics have. How, why? Through my lived experience, through how I've used these molecules, through how I've used them with intentions, through how they've helped me to be more present, how they've helped me to sort of analyze and look at my own life. That's what real cultivating wisdom is about. And that's what needed. And it was funny because after the apparel brand and I started to share my story, more people, my generation, more people will look like me, more people like your parents, more people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s were like, what are you doing? Like, hold on a second. Come here. Talk to me. And that's when I started microdosing50.com, which is where people
yeah.
can get honest, open, and objective information about what microdosing really is, about how it could help them, about why it could potentially be a tool, not a magic
Mm,
pill, not to fix your
right.
life, a tool to a better life, especially at that age past 50, right? When we're
Yeah. Well,
starting to lose.
say more about that, about, what someone over 50 might get out of microdosing that, someone younger than that, it might,
Hmm,
what
hmm.
is the shift there, and how might it help in a different way?
So there's this parallel in life that I have that I love to talk about, that when we reach 50, we realize that there's 50 behind us. There's most likely not 50 in front of us. At
Very
40,
true.
like you hit 40 and you're like, I can make 80. My mom's 80. Mom's 80. She's doing
Yeah.
well. Nutrition, exercise, the right mental state. I can make 80. But at 50, you realize, okay, a half of this journey, at least
Hmm.
half of this journey is done. And what's left? 2, 12, 22. And it becomes an age when things start to shift. Our body starts to break down a little bit. Our cognitive skills start to go. Our family starts to leave because they're going
Hmm.
to do their own thing. We start to transition. Okay, the job is done. I might be losing my job. Where am I going? Right. So we have all these things that are going on. What microdosing has done for me, it's again put me center right in front of where I am, what my reality is, what today is. Because even
Mm,
at 50, Scott, I'll be honest with you, I can't live my life like this looking back. There's nothing back there I can do. I can
yeah.
change. I can relive. And that in front of me, I go back to the same thing. I don't know if there's 2, 12, 20. But if I'm looking that way, I'm going to fall because I'm not going to see what's in front of me. So that's what microdosing has really done me. It centered me and put me right in my present reality and said, Caesar, okay, what are we doing? First of all, Caesar, look around. Realize you have everything you need at this moment. At this
Mm,
moment, you have everything you
I mean,
need.
that's a huge
And
gift right there. So,
when you start with that, when the microdosing, right, kicks in that neuroplasticity, right, and
hmm
that brain,
hmm
instead of being so rigid because of the default mode network that we've been skiing down for 50 something years, when we soften up that brain a tiny bit through the microdosing, and we go, you know what? Instead of blowing on the horn and telling the person to go F themselves, I'm going to take a deep breath and say, you know
mm,
what? I'm okay. I mean,
yeah.
clarity, right? And again, it comes with intentions. Like you set the intention. I'm telling you right now, people over 50, please do not think that you're going to take a microdose and you're going to close your eyes and life is going to be beautiful. Not the way it happens.
Nope.
It's a
Life still
process.
happens.
There's intentions. There is integration. There
Hmm
is journaling. There is being present, there's so many little things that come along with it. And it's that clarity, it's that focus, it's that really being in tune, right?
Can you think of an example of when you were starting to microdose, after you'd sort of gotten through the cannabis thing, where it hit you like, oh, if like the old Cesar would have reacted this way to this situation, but since I've been microdosing, like I can only attribute it to this intention and this new way of being from the microdosing that I did not react that way and I reacted this way instead. I'm sensing that, yes, you have a story.
We were, so when all of this happens, right, and I create the apparel brand, I see that Wonderland is happening. A couple of months later, there's this wonderful conference in Miami called Canadelic that is happening. And I said, that's it. That's our entry point. That's where we launched. That's where we introduced ourselves to the psychedelic community. That's where we do it. Perfect. Let's go. Let's really get a powerful website. I contracted an outsourcing company to do my website. You know what I mean? We're 4 weeks away. We're 3 weeks away. Where's the website? It's almost done. We're 2 weeks away. Where's the website? It's almost done. The two nights before, right? They hand me the website, and it's a disaster. It's like. And my first instinct was like, someone's gonna die. I'm gonna like go through the phone or through the internet, and someone's gonna. And there was this moment of like, Cesar, it's about you. It's not about a website. It's about you. And if you come and you talk to people the way you talk, and you're open and you're who you are, your website can be crap, right? The more you get angry with them, are they going to feel that anger? No, you're going to feel it. So come at it with positivity and find a way to say, hey, you know what? This isn't really what I was looking for. Maybe. And it was that. It was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. It's about peace. It's about peace. If I have peace with myself, and I exude peace in everything, even in the dark moments, peace will somehow come back. And it was that. It was that sense of love. I mean, am I gonna get angry? You know what I mean? It's just love because maybe they didn't understand. Forgive, let go. The more I'm, aren't you still angry? No, let that go and whatever, and then move forward. Right? Am I gonna sit there and go, God, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this and this and that? No. How can we move forward to sort of fix the situation so that maybe and it was that. And sure enough, in 2 days they got it. They understood, and they're like, okay, yeah, you know what? If I would have been like angry and whatever,
yeah,
they would have done it reluctantly, and maybe it would have done more haphazardly. So definitely, again, that clarity of peace, right? That's really, I think, one of the most beautiful things that microdosing and that psychedelics have given me. And one of them came this past Sunday in a Bufo experience. It is that real sense of peace, that real sense of, as long as I have peace, you know what I mean? Because what am I pulling my hairs out about? Because you owe some money, because you have debt, because you're not making whatever. You know how much money Coca-Cola owes? Could you imagine? You know what I mean? How much money they owe? So what are you pulling my hairs about? Something
yeah.
And at the end of the day, what are they going to do? Come get my dog? Take my furniture? So
probably
it's
not.
Those types of situations. Peace, like peace. And when you wake up with peace, and the rest of the day somehow is peaceful.
It makes such a difference to start on that peaceful breath in the day, whether that's yoga or meditation or a microdose or what have you. It just sets the tone for the rest of the day, right? And I did see on your Instagram that you had done Bufo this last weekend. So we'll get to that. That was definitely a question coming. But, but before that, I know, you started microdosing and you're becoming this, educating yourself, starting to educate others, and just becoming this like spokesperson for microdosing, really. And
thought leader, I like the thought leader.
Thought leader is a good word. Yeah. And but you were kind of, from what I understand, holding off on or for whatever reason, you weren't being drawn to do a big journey of
At
plant medicine?
at the beginning. So at the
At the
beginning,
beginning, yeah.
it was funny. Everything fell into place real quickly, right? So again,
Mm.
the small chocolate, the half dose wow awakening, right?
Yeah.
My what I call my awakening, microdosing. Okay, microdosing, but I don't think I'm ready for it. And again, this was October. My birthday's in November. The week, couple of days before my birthday, a couple of days before I guess my 56th birthday, that would have been in 22. Um, I'm working out and I'm watching this documentary and there's a conversation between Paul Stamets and Deepak Chopra, and they're talking about the benefits of deep journeys, right? Of heroic
Mm.
doses, of
Mm-hmm.
really going in. And at that moment, I texted my wife and I said, "Baby, I know what I want for my birthday." And she was like, "What?" And I want you to sit for me with my psychedelic experience. So November 16th, 2022, I have my first intentional
Mm.
psychedelic experience. And Scott, I tell people the podium of my life as it stands right now. Top step, the birth of my kids. My kids are the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing in my life. Number
Yeah, yeah.
two, meeting the love of my life after the age of 50. This woman that not only loves me, but sees me, more importantly.
Mm.
And then third, that November 16th, that true, real awakening. This is who you are. This is where you stand.
Mm.
This is how your kids see you right now. This is how they're going to see you. This is what you're building. This is what you're creating. Don't doubt in yourself. And at the same time, we went through some deep holes. We went back into some stuff
Yeah.
that was
Not
really
easy. Not easy
not
work,
easy.
right? Yeah.
Not easy work. And since then, I've had journeys. There was a reluctancy for sure to sit with ayahuasca, and the reason why was because for me, there was this sense of part of the intention was if I sit with that medicine, I want to do it in my homeland of Colombia because there's
Mm.
roots there, there's lineage there. I would hate to think of me saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go do ayahuasca at some penthouse in Brickell because there's some shaman who's serving," and that happens. That
It does.
happens.
It does
It
happen.
does
Yep.
happen. It
And
does
that's,
happen.
for those people, that's fine.
That's
But
fine.
yeah, not
But that
your
wasn't for
journey.
me. For me, it
Yeah.
was, hey, it's going to be in Colombia. And not only is it going to be in Colombia, it's going to be in the jungle. And not only is it going to be in the jungle, it's not going to be in a retreat. It's not going to be in a
Wow.
maloca. It's going to be with a shaman, with a taita, as they call them in Colombia, and maybe a guide to take me somewhere. That's the only way. If that happens, then I'm sitting with that medicine. Well, sure enough, last August, last
Mm.
August, a mentor of mine is in Colombia nomading. Cesar, why don't you guys come down, come visit, whatever. We sit there. Being in Colombia, I connect with someone who I connected on LinkedIn. Hey, whatever, we're here in Colombia. Oh, by the way, we have a
By
land.
the way.
We have a land. We have land out in the jungle. And I have this
Mm.
taita that I'm working with that has really wonderful connection to the medicine. Are you ready to sit with medicine? And I was like,
Yeah.
universe, are you for real? Are you serious? Like, are you serious? And it was like, you intended it. You
Yeah.
created that. I
Yeah.
created that experience through my intentions, and again, I could have easily, Scott, said, "Hey, you know what? There's an ayahuasca experience in the back things of Georgia next week with some people.
Yeah.
You want to go? No, no,
Yeah. So
no."
instead, you waited 2.5 years till it felt right, till you're like, okay, this is it. It's definitely what
was
you intended, and
the calling.
The calling. Yeah.
The calling.
Going back to that first bigger mushroom journey, though, and you said, it helped tell you, who the kids thought you were and they will see you as and who you are. So if you can put words to it, like, who did you see that you were versus who you thought you were before that journey?
Well, there was a couple of things, right? There's because there's opening why I act that way, right? Where this comes from, which I think was really important, and it came through. For me, before that experience, there was a sense of fear of failure, right? I want to do this, but I'm not sure because what happens if we fail? And I don't want to fail, right? Where in the mushroom journey, in that in that real intentional, respectful, responsible journey, which is really important. I had someone to be there with me. I was in a safe container. In that process, I go back to my childhood. I go back to the
Mm.
discipline of my dad. I go back to being waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because my dad had a morning shift, to be disciplined because of something that I did wrong, because of something that I failed.
Mm.
So for
Mm-hmm.
me, failure came with consequences, and bad consequences, like crap, like, getting
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
ass
Yeah.
whooped, consequences. So for me, in the journey, being able to address my dad, being able to go, dude, what are you serious? Like, why are you? And at the same time, are you going to hold that against your dad? Is that something that you're going to carry, or are you going to forgive him and let it go and understand
Mm.
that he didn't know any
Mm-hmm.
better? He didn't know any better. That's the way he was raised. He didn't know how to sit
Yeah.
down with you and do your homework with you, because he had to work, dude. He came immigrant from this country. He hardly understood English. He had to go do manual labor. You don't have time to sit and do your homework with
Mm-hmm.
you. So you got to show up, bro. So it was that shift of, don't be fearful of consequences. Don't be. That was a super shift in that. And then the shift towards my kids was, before that journey, the sense almost of guilt, of shame, talking to my,
Mm.
but that my kids might not understand. That my daughter was asking me, Dad, what are you doing? Are you
You mean about the
serious?
psychedelics? They wouldn't
About the
understand.
psychedelics, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 You
Yeah.
know what I mean? At the time, I had a 19-year-old daughter asking me, Dad, are you, like, wait a minute, what are you, like, you're doing like, hold on, back up, Dad. Like, you're
Yeah.
literally talking to people that you're doing drugs. You have an apparel brand
You have an
that
apparel
promotes
brand,
the
like,
the
yeah.
use of something that's illegal. Dude, Dad, what are you doing? And so it was this sense, and the journey was like, dude, don't worry. They will see the shift. They will see the change. They will see that you will turn into a leader in this space. Right now, they're
Mm.
walking behind you because they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. Eventually, they
Yeah.
will walk side by side you. And now, my daughter walks around with Cultivating Wisdom gear on college campus. You know what I mean? So it's sort of, they're walking next to me. Those were
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shifts. Those were the
Mm.
things, right? Because sometimes, again, sometimes people think, oh, you know what? I'm going to have this experience, and then I'm going to wake up, and life is going to be completely different. It's yes and no, right?
Yes
There's
and no.
work.
Yeah.
There's things to be done. There's things to be seen. There's things to be, case in point, one of my most challenging journeys, Scott, was about 2 years ago. All the intentions in the world, like you should have the right mindset. And I'm not sure the setting. I would have changed the setting a little bit, and the setting in the sense of my nutritional setting before the
Mm.
journey, the fact that I had counted on someone that was going to sit for me, but unfortunately, in the process, something else came up that that person needed to attend to, right? And again,
Mm.
someone I care about. But again, so there was this sort of, there was this sense of, is the container there? So again, if I were to have it again, now that being said, that doesn't mean the experience would have been different, right? Because the experience was literally, when the medicine kicks in, Scott, I'm a cancer patient dying. Caesar's gonna
Mm.
die in a couple of days. He's gonna die. It's no,
This is during the
no,
trip. This is
just during the trip.
where you start. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
this
Yeah.
is a later journey. This is the later
Okay.
journey. It's
Yeah.
just a sort of to talk about how these experiences, how we could potentially use them to change our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's not that the experience changes our lives. We have to change the life, right?
Yeah.
So in this journey, I'm dying. And I made probably one of the worst mistakes someone on these molecules can do, which is look at yourself in the mirror. and, and
That's an
then
interesting
now,
journey.
now I
Yeah.
see it. Now I'm really
Yeah.
dying. Now I'm
Mm.
now it's evident that it's death, that it's moments away. I try to walk outside. There's cobwebs. I can't even step outside of my own home, right? And I come back and I sit and I'm like, what's going on? Get me off this ride. I don't want to be, what are you even talking about? And in all of this, the messages start to come. Caesar, here's the thing. Before, you had an incredible exercise regimen. You wake up, you work out, You had a wonderful nutrition regimen. You know what I mean? You had a good eating regimen. You started this business, and now what?
Mm.
You do hardly exercise, or I'll work out tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. The eating, it's all over the place. You're taking care of the eating. I mean, where's your health right now, right? Sleep wise. So all these things, all these dreams you have, you might not see them to fruition, because here's the thing. Anything you've done before today to get sick, nothing you can do. Moving forward, a whole bunch you could do. So that was
Hmm.
the life-changing thing. It wasn't that I did the medicine and I woke up the next day and my life changed. It was I woke up the next day and said, hey, you need to change your life, because this is
Yeah.
what's going on. And if you don't change it, that's what's going on. Where do you want to be?
Yeah. With the cobwebs and death, or to see what you're doing come to fruition. Your soul is just like, hello, knocking on your door. Like, this is your options, man.
Yeah.
But also, like, going back to what you said on that first bigger journey about, working through stuff with your father and your dad, and, people listening who haven't done plant medicine might just hear that and be like, yeah, let go, forgive your dad, like whatever, is you're just talking words. But when I think what the medicine does, and you referred to this earlier as well, is, it allows that big snowstorm to come down on those tracks of how you used to feel about your dad. And, those rough mornings when he would discipline you, and it allowed you to like change that track, like to ski a new line on how you felt about it. And I'm totally stealing Michael Pollan's metaphor there,
No,
but
it's fine. No,
it's,
but
it's
it is
such a good one.
It's
Thank
a great
you, Michael.
one. It's a great metaphor, because it's very true.
And that's the thing. There's such a truth to when you experiencing it in the medicine that it's undeniable. But then, yes, the work is, when you come out, is to continue to, whether it's journaling about it in the coming days or meditating on it in the coming days, is to like really get those new grooves to like set in the new way you want to be. Right.
Yeah. It's the reintegration, and it's there's something you talked about, right? Because it's sort of, sometimes it can be just words. You know what I mean? So little, like, what, he had to have a psychedelic experience to know that maybe he had to forgive his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and right, I have a really close acquaintance of mine who had something like that. They had a situation with their dad, and we were talking about it again. Talk, which is sometimes why talk therapy might not work, right? And we were talking, and I said, so you need to forgive your dad. You need to let go. And he's like, I'm not ready. And I'm like, okay, so when are you going to be ready? In a week? In a month? In a year? When he's dead? And he was like, I'm not ready. And I was like, okay, talk, right? I see him a couple of months later. He had gone to Colombia. He had had an ayahuasca experience. And like you said, all of his life, he was skiing down the tracks of, I hate my dad. My dad's horrible. My dad did this. My dad didn't show up. My dad, whatever. My dad didn't pay for this. Whatever that was. That's how he was skiing. And all of a sudden, he sits with ayahuasca. A huge snowstorm comes down. He literally sees what his dad really is. And he says, how about if I ski down this one with love? Right. And I see him a couple months later, and it just happened. How are things with your dad? He's like, magical. Like, we're in such a love fest. So talk therapy, maybe he didn't see it. Whatever. The snowstorm came down and he saw it.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a snowstorm, basically. Like, talk therapy can be a good flurry too. Nothing against it, but
nothing at all.
Very helpful. But yeah, sometimes you need a snowstorm to really knock things new.
We do.
Yeah. Transitioning a little bit, a couple times you've mentioned family and kids as we've been talking, and you recently had a piece in Double Blind magazine that you wrote.
Correct.
And I just want to read this quote, and we can just kind of discuss it a bit.
Yeah.
But you wrote, "Fathers are struggling, and it's not something that's immediately visible on the surface, because on paper, many fathers have everything: careers, homes, and families. It's inside where something is missing, and that's connection, presence, and meaning."
You know what's crazy about that quote? And again, I wrote that article a little bit ago. I'm driving yesterday, and I see in front of me this Ferrari. And I'm
Mm.
like, man, look at that Ferrari. I wonder who's driving that. I wonder who's driving that Ferrari. And of course, I pull up next to it. And it's a guy about my age, beautiful
Mhm.
white Ferrari. It's just amazing. Every guy's dream, right? And
Right.
next to him is his daughter, who's about 10, 11
Mm.
years old on their phone, right? And
Mm.
I continue to drive next to him. They stop at a stoplight. She's on her phone. What does he do? He takes out his phone.
No
N-
connection.
Next
Yeah.
stoplight, the same thing. So think about that, Scott. This guy has everything. Think about it.
Hmm.
If that's the car he's driving, imagine his home, imagine his watch, imagine his shoes. He's got everything. No, he literally has nothing. At that moment
Hmm.
in his life, at that moment in his life, the most important thing to him, the attention of his daughter, doesn't have. So that's
Mm.
it. There's so many dads that are like that. And that's why I created the Summit Within. That's why I created this retreat experience for those dads.
And
For
you're
those
referring
dads
to
that
the summit within that you have, you just like the first retreat that you're kind of like putting on in
hmm
this coming October in Colombia. Is that
hmm
right? Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was through my personal experience with ayahuasca. It was through my experiences with other plant medicines that I realized that dads, we need something. We're broken.
Hmm.
We don't dads, we're quick with our wins, we're quick with our acquisitions, we're quick with our victories, we're quick to talk about our mergers. But the things that keep us up at night, the things that break our heart, the failures, who do we share that with? So that's why I decided I wanted to create this container where fathers, just fathers, because I've talked
Mm.
to too many people, Scott, who said, you know what, I went to a retreat, and there was a soccer mom, there was a veteran, there was a guy that's done ayahuasca 485 times, there was a backpacker, there was another CEO, and then there wasn't a lot of common threads. So I said, why don't we bring dads, fathers, and not just dads who have toxic relationships with their kids and are struggling, all types of dads, dads who
Mm.
really want a sense of how do I realize that giving my kids presents is nothing compared to giving them presence, being there for them. That's what I want to create. I want to create these containers where we can come down as men,
Hmm.
and really sit together and say, "This is my struggle." Because someone else said, "Dude, that was my struggle, and this is what I did, and look where I am." And that we
Yeah.
can go and sit with grandmother. We can each go and sit with grandmother, and grandma have a conversation with us because she knows we
So
can do better.
it is an ayahuasca retreat.
It's
Like,
an
yeah.
ayahuasca retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 5-day retreat. We'll be going
Okay.
down to Medellin. We'll be going down to Medellin. The first day, we're going to be in a wonderful, beautiful home. We're going to have a wonderful catered meal, and we're going to have someone come in to teach us breath work, to really teach
Mm.
us the importance of that breath, and to realize that in the next 4 days, we might be going through some things that the breath could be an incredible tool to help us
Sure can.
navigate what we're going through. Then we'll head down to La Guaira. La Guaira is this beautiful location about an hour away from Medellin. Um, and there we'll first day we'll start to set intentions. We'll set our set. We'll create our setting for what we're going to do. And then the next 2 days, between somatic movement, through some Tai Chi, through some yoga in the morning, and then medicine journeys in the evening,
Yeah.
two of them,
Mm.
one on day 2 and one on day 3. One with possibility of 2 servings of medicines, obviously depending on the person's situation, their desire to have
Hmm.
more medicine, what the taita and the facilitators analyze of what's going on. And then the third day we'll integrate. We'll reintegrate into where we are and how we move forward and how we continue to hold on to this connection that we're going to make as men, because it's
Mm.
it's it's much needed.
It
The
is.
mental health crisis for men, for fathers, um, is 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 alarming. It really is,
Yeah.
and the disconnection that exists between fathers and children, those gaps between social media, between
Mm.
electronics, between us having to
Hmm.
provide, between it's continuously growing. So what do we do? What tools can we have? How can we show up as men to bridge those gaps, especially, and then not just with our kids, with our partners, with our
Yeah.
community, with our people
Yeah.
at work, right? How do we create those? I mean, I think
Yeah.
those are important. I want to give all dads and everyone a tool out there that I love to use that has been really powerful for me. If you have kids who have phones, okay, figure out when their birthday is. So in other words, if your child's birthday is November 11th, so 11/11, at
Mm-hmm.
11/11 on a daily basis, send them something, a text,
Mm,
a note, and I
that's
love you,
beautiful.
an article about baseball because I know you love baseball, a smile, a thinking about you, what you do and what you create is, and it doesn't have to be just your child, it can be your partner. I do it for my wife on her birthday.
Yeah.
Her birthday's May 6th, 5:06 every day. She's getting something, and I love you because what happens is that person realizes that they can count on you on a daily basis at that time,
Mm,
which makes them feel safe. And it makes them realize that they can count on you at that time on a daily basis. They can count on you whenever. Right? It's a
mm.
small little tool that takes seconds, but the connection that it makes, the connection that that creates is unbreakable. And
Yeah. I was
I tell dads, look, even when you're so upset that you want to strangle them, when that alarm goes off at that time, put all of that aside and tell them, I
Mhm.
love you. Simple
Yep.
little tools, right? Simple little things that we can
Mm,
use for our betterment, for the betterment of our kids, for our partners. It's little
yeah.
things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a microdose, but a microdose just like that is a tool.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how you've obviously been doing this practice, how it has changed your relationship with your kids and your wife, but it sounds like you already answered that question. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just fortified it. And like life, you know what I mean? Like everything, you sometimes go through struggles, right? You sometimes go through situations because we're human
Hmm.
beings, but sometimes the medicine can be an incredible teacher, right? And the a great example was my sitting with grandmother, my sitting with ayahuasca in Colombia.
Hmm.
I grandma had a real conversation with me about the difference between loving my wife and seeing my wife
Mm,
and the dangers and the perils when you stop seeing that person, because then there's the potential to see other things, other places.
yeah.
You're not focused. You love them. Of course you love them, but do you see them?
See them.
Right?
That's such a huge
Yeah.
difference. And speaking
Hmm.
like fostering connection, I mean, that's really how you do it. You can love somebody, but unless you see them and like connect with them on that level, it's a
Yeah.
whole different game.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to your retreat though, because I mean,
Yeah.
I just love that it's for fathers, and especially in this time when, there's kind of this general feeling that men suck out there, that at least among a lot of people I know, and obviously
let's
present
let's
company
let's let's
accepted,
let's
but
let's be honest. Let's be honest. There are some men that suck. There's a lot of
there
men that
are
don't suck.
exact. Yes,
There's men that
exactly.
don't suck. But
Yeah, there are. And, this, I feel like what you're doing with the retreat and with the fathers is helping to, turn that way the other way. Let's put it
yeah,
that way. So
yeah,
I just want
yeah.
to shout that out. And
Mm.
how many people are going to be in that retreat?
So we're limited at 10, and the reason why we're limited at
Mm,
10 is because the facility itself has 10 separate bungalows. Right? Um we we wanted people to have their own space, right?
hmm.
Be in a community,
Yeah.
be in a community, but have their own space, have their own privacy, just in case they want to. Again, there's a lot of things going on. If we want to commute, if we want to be in community, there's wonderful places on the property to do that. But at 10, we give everyone that possibility to have their own living
Their own
space with their
space
own
too.
bathroom,
Yeah.
with their own hammock, with their own,
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
and that's part of it. And that's, it's I know that there are retreats out there where you can go and commune and you live together, and and I also know that there's retreats out there that are incredibly white glove and you literally look like you're in Greece, right? So this isn't a $700 retreat, right? And there's those retreats out there, right?
Yeah.
But it also isn't a $15,000
Right.
retreat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're creating experiences, and like I say, look, as members of households, right? How many times do we spend a good amount of money on a vacation and we come back with, you know what I
Some
mean? What do we
pictures.
come back? Yeah, some pictures, right? And for literally for the price of a suit, a watch,
hmm
some shoes, and a couple of dinners, you can literally have a potential life changing experience
Yeah.
that you can step away, not walk away, that you can step aside for 5 days and come back a completely different father, husband,
Yep.
partner, son, member of your community. Yeah,
Yeah.
with like-minded people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. From my own experience, I've done a couple
yeah,
medicine retreats in South America. And
yeah.
yes, all of that you said was absolutely true. And you also forged these new deep connections with people
Mm,
over such a short period. But,
yeah,
at any time, and eventually, people sort of fade on their own, go
yeah,
their own
yeah,
paths,
yeah,
and that's fine. But anytime you were to reach out, they're like, hey, what's going on? It's like
yeah.
immediate connection. You're back. It's like a
Mm,
lifelong connection that
mm, mm,
never goes
mm,
away. And
mm.
again, like, I think we need more connection in
Yeah,
this world right now.
and because again, it's these like-minded people who have this
hmm
common thread. We're creating a community, right? We're creating an online community for the dads who are interested in going, for the dads that have gone,
hmm
for so we can continue to have that, and we'll meet on a consistent basis. We're
I
looking
love
hopefully
that.
to meet on a weekly basis, so that container exists just to have a conversation. Just where are
Yeah.
we? How's it going? You know what I mean? Look, my experience has changed. Or look, after my experience, it's been hard. And this was Scott. I'm not sure how much time we have, but something that I'd love to sort of at least talk a tiny bit about because it's come up in
Please.
conversations a little bit. We talk a lot about integration. We talk about what
hmm
integration is.
Yeah.
What does integration look like? What do we need to do for integration? But there was this topic that came up, which is really important, right? We go on these journeys, right? We have these experiences and we see things differently, and we question like the reality of the other thing, and then how do we
hmm
reintegrate into the reality, right? Because it's not as wonderful, it's not as good, it's not as colorful, it's not as magical as it was just an hour ago when I was on this
Coming
experience.
back to
How do I
reality can be
reintegrate?
challenging.
How
Yes.
do I reintegrate? And that's a really wonderful conversation that we need to
hmm
have
hmm
because a lot of emotions come up. We were in a chat group yesterday, and someone was saying, like, yeah, like I came back, and then there's like now this joy, but this apathy towards what's going on, and almost like this,
Mm,
like it's being hard for me to reintegrate into my
yeah.
life with all of these things that's going on. So I think that's having that community group, right? Having somewhere where you can go is part of that reintegration, and that's definitely something that's going to be part of the retreat.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so
Mm,
important.
mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
can't agree and stress that
Mm.
enough. The reintegration,
Yeah.
both the
Yeah. Yeah.
challenges and to have a support network.
Mm.
Well, as we're coming down the last couple minutes, three sort of speed questions. And I said I did want to ask about the Bufo. So we're
Yes.
going to kind of
Yes.
weave that into
Definitely.
this
Yes. Yes.
in a quick one, which is also 5-MeO DMT. It's also
Correct.
referred to Sonora Desert or Colorado Desert Toad. So,
The
just a quick
Sonoran
question about
toad, the God
yeah,
molecule.
the God molecule. Was this your first time using that?
Second time.
Second. Okay.
Second time. Yeah.
Well, just on this one, I guess, what is something you learned from that experience or that you're trying to integrate?
I wrote about it in my social media posts. When I come out of the journey, I'm finally sort of back in my sense. I said to the people that were there, to my wonderful, incredible, beautiful, amazing facilitators, and that's incredibly important, especially with that medicine in particular.
hmm
If that is
Yeah.
something that you're contemplating, please make sure that you have someone who is serving you with love, with respect, that will look at you in the eyes before you ingest something that's going to literally take you to places that you had no clue existed. Make sure that that exists, please,
Mm-hmm.
please. So as I come back and they're there and the people that were holding space were there, I said, is it Sunday? Because I literally feel like I went to church. And what I got out of that experience, and as I look back to my first experience, there was some of that also. And it was these things that I was told that I would feel at church. I was told that when I went to church,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would be looking for, which was one, connection. Connection. I felt, Scott, connected to everything, everyone, every being, connected to source, whatever that source was, connected to myself, connected to the people who served me, connected to my lineage, connected to my ancestors, connected to my family, connected to all of it. That was
Mm.
one. Number two, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, it was that sense of peace. Caesar, peace.
Mm.
If you have peace, everything else will be peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
If you have chaos, if you bring chaos into your life, if you call chaos into your life, peace. And then the
Peace.
other thing was purpose, mission. What is your purpose? What is your mission?
Mm.
And it became evident. It became clear. And I've had this discussion with people. I've really felt coming up to these 3 years that I've stepped into these shoes as a thought leader, that I've stepped into these shoes as a dad who is going to build that bridge to other dads who are curious, who have the fear of herd the hike, right? That Caesar can sort of,
Mm.
I had stepped into those shoes, but I'd never laced them up and I'd never really walked in them. I've stepped in them, but then I've
Yeah.
stepped out of them. And the experience on Sunday was like, no, that's your mission. That's your purpose. This is the moment now to lace up the shoes and start to walk the path. So
Wow.
that was,
That's a big 25 minutes
yeah,
or
yeah,
so. Yeah. Which is
yes,
about how long that medicine lasts because
correct.
is powerful and quick. So yeah,
Quick.
connection,
It,
purpose and mission. I mean, my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it was. Connection, peace, purpose.
Oh, peace.
Those are the
That's
three.
it. Yeah.
Connection,
Peace,
peace,
purpose.
purpose. And it was funny you said that, Scott, because um Brian Johnson, right, who's been doing all
Yeah.
the scientific stuff, he wrote in a tweet which was dead on. He said 5-MeO DMT is an experience that lasts 15 minutes, but you'll spend 15 years trying to explain it, relive it,
Well,
and have people
I think
understand what it was.
Yeah. I think you've nailed explaining it. Now it's just to live it, right? Just that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Second, quick question. What is something you've lost or had to lose in the last year or two? And that could be good or bad that has shown you something.
The questions and doubt of whether I belong where I belong. I had to lose that. I had to strip myself of that, right? And
Yeah.
it was and it was reshifting the question, not from do I belong here? Why am I here? What am I doing here? To no, wait a minute. You're here because you belong here. You're here because the steps you've taken have put you here. The real question is, now that you're here, what are you going to do with it? And when you do that, you get rid of the doubt because you realize I'm here. There's no doubt that I'm here. What am I going to do now? Right? That's where you step in. So what I lost was that sense of questioning whether I really belong where I belong. And I think that's important. I think that loss, the other thing with loss, I feel is that, and there's a bit of Buddhist philosophy in the sense of lack of attachment, right? No attachment to anything. So if you're not attached to anything, are you really losing anything? Right? And if you're not attached to anything, are you really gaining anything? It's just, it is what it is. You accept what it is, whatever the loss is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it becomes easier. I accepted it. I lost the fact that I doubted. You know what I mean? And now I live easier. So I think it's those type of things that and again, look, knock on wood, I haven't lost something in the sense of I lost a pet, or I lost a family member, or I lost my job, but that made me better, right? That losing my job at CNN has put me where I am. So was that a loss or was that a blessing? If I wasn't attached to it, would I still be here? Oh my God, I can't believe CNN. I gave them 25 years and that they laid me. No loss, not attached.
No loss. Yeah. Ah, beautiful. And last question, what are you loving right now and why?
Life is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm loving every single moment of life. And Scott, I'm going to tell you why, because today is the best day of my life. Today. Because yesterday's not a day. Yesterday's a memory that I can't relive. I can't replay. I can't do anything about it. Tomorrow, next week, that's literally just a fantasy. It doesn't exist. So today is the best day of my life. And that being said, Scott, thank you for being part of the best day of my life. Anybody that's out there listening, watching this, thank you for being part of the best day of my life. Go out there, spread much love. Realize that, today is the best day of your life. I think that, we're if we lead with love, Scott, look, you know what I tell people? Look, go out on a consistent basis and walk into a supermarket and just say good morning to everybody. Just be constant. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And I go, literally, you might have someone to go, hey, you know what? Go F yourself. And you go, hey, you know what? I might do that because it's actually a lot of fun, but you're not ruining the best day of my life.
Oh my God. I love that. Before we go though, where are the best people? I just FYI everyone, on his Instagram, he has a bunch of great information and education about microdosing. And there's a free booklet on one of your websites that you can get also. So where can people find you? What's the best to learn more about what you're up to?
Definitely a couple places. Look for me on LinkedIn. I mean, that's a good place to look for me to connect directly towards me. Obviously, cultivatingwisdom.net is the apparel brand. I'm going to create a little discount code for love, loss, and hallucinations. We'll do a little LLH, right? We'll do a little 20% discount for anybody that wants to get anything there.
There you go,
so
people.
That's cultivatingwisdom.net. There's also, of course, microdosingover50.com. If your parents or someone you know over 50 want honest, open, and objective information about that. And then, of course, the Summit Within. If you're a father who's been called to this medicine, that's the most important thing. You have true intentions, true, real intentions of why you want to go out there. Please tap in. There's a nice little button to book a call. There's also a little button that you can already fill out the form if you feel that you are ready, and we can go from there. And then, of course, Instagram, which is where you and I connected, which is a beautiful, beautiful place, cultivating.wisdom, just wisdom, information, education, conversation, love, smiles, joy. That's what you'll find there.
Beautiful.
And again, Scott, thank you. Thank you. Again, I know I opened it, but I want to close it again by thanking you and giving you deep, deep, deep bow of gratitude for what you're doing, for starting this conversation, being open enough to have these conversations and bring people on, because you don't know who you're going to touch. Again, we're going to talk to 5 people about these substances or these things. 2 are going to go, you're crazy, you're nuts. 2 are going to say, wait a minute, hold on a second. You don't know whose life you're going to change. Go out there, see what life you can change today.
Likewise. And I know you are. And thank you. Thank you for this hour and wonderful conversation. And look, hopefully one of these days we'll cross paths in real life.
I hope so.
And I look forward to that.
I'll see you in the future, as they say.
I'll see you in the future. All right. Thanks, Cesar.
Awesome.